we have too little of time. So my name is Einat, and I'm from Israel, of course. I'm married to Yuval, and I'm a mother of 5 children. Eyal, which is 21, Yoavi, 19, Lihi, 16, Rona, 13, and Shira, 8. And I've been a parenting expert for the last 19 years, and I'm so excited to talk to you today and do this Q&A session, especially at this time after experiencing a challenging year as parents. I can't wait to hear your questions, but I think I'll start by talking briefly about my book, which I'm so excited because it's coming out tomorrow in the United States and Canada. It's called My Everything. It was a #1 bestseller across all genres in Israel for a long time. It sold over 60,000 copies. We're a small country, so it's a huge thing. And I want to start off by talking about the name of the book, because my everything is a loaded phrase, right? In Hebrew, the book is called Chaim Sheli. I won't ask you to pronounce it out loud, but it's a cultural expression that is said between two loved ones. And there isn't a direct translation for this word because it's an emotional expression. It means my soul, my light, my everything, my life, all in one expression. So in English, I had to choose just one phrase. And I wanted to explain what the expression my everything means to me. First of all, this book, every word in it is my everything. It's kind of a combination of a personal diary and a parenting manual that most experts would not willingly choose to reveal. So when writing this book, I took off the professional mask and put in all my vulnerabilities, secrets, inner thoughts, shame, and combined it, of course, with all my professional knowledge. You know, we live in a world where there are usually two types of sources accessible of information for parents. The first ones are the experts. I personally always found that the know-it-all experts end up making us parents feel bad, like something was wrong with us or our children. And then there's a whole world of social media, mommy bloggers, right? People that don't have authority, but do share the struggles of being a parent. The thing about young parents or modern parents is that they get kind of lost, because when they turn to the experts, they feel bad. And when they turn to social media, they either see this display of the perfect family, perfect life, perfect, I don't know, yoga wearing skinny mom, or the struggling, bitter mom. And I thought to myself, if that's the case, what's the most effective way to give parents information they can really apply? And I think I found the way, honestly, almost by accident. It began several years ago. I was writing a column for a well-known Israeli online publication, and I started openly sharing my struggles as a mother to my imperfect children. And the column began receiving thousands of moving responses. The most common feedback was, let's say, one of three. Either one, you made me feel so normal; two, I want to wake up my kids in the middle of the night and hug them because now I understand their viewpoint; or three, thank you so much for sharing. I think I know what to do now. Basically, I think that today's parents are much lonelier. They lost the tribe or the village. They have too much information. They're stressed out, and they're not just parents. They have to juggle being a parent with their career, other relationships, wellness, health, self-development, you just name it. There's no wise grandmother in the tribe to give advice or even create a safe space for parents. And parents are today a bit tired of the perfect expert that sits on a pedestal, tells them what to do or what not to do. And the thing that excites me about this book, and excites me every time talking to parents is that until today, I get mails. The book came out 3 years ago here in Israel. I get mails that say, I got it. I got this book from 5 different women this week. And last week I bought it for 4 different girlfriends of mine. So it kind of generated this network effect that sort of replaced that tribe we all lost. I just want to add something, because some of us that read the words "my everything" may raise an eyebrow, and rightfully so. They are everything, right? We know that we have more going on in our lives than just being parents. Well, they might not be our everything, but parenting is the most significant relationship we'll ever have. And at the end of people's lives, we know it today from research, that it's not the job I didn't take or the house I didn't buy that people regret. It's mostly the time I didn't spend or the relationship I wasn't invested in enough. So at the end of the day, we want to feel like we gave it our everything. And for them, for our children, we're definitely their everything. So I think we're ready for questions, Maya. We can't hear you. You need to unmute.
Here we go. Sorry. Thank you, Inat.
Thank
I
you.
think the sentence you just said was one of the things that the reason I believe this could be very relevant, and in a second I'll also connect it to the questions, and then we'll open it up. Um, it's that sentence of, are there our everything, and are they necessarily a projection of who we are? And I think that's the first sentence that I remember reading and highlighting in your book, of if they did something wrong, or if they are not successful, or if they had a fight with a friend in school, does that mean something about me as a parent? And I think more so this year, with everyone being in lockdown and children, I think across all ages, but maybe you'll talk about it in a second. I think there is a certain age group, kids wise, that was the most affected, the ones who really were completely disconnected from their friends, didn't get to go to school, and were very much isolated. And I believe guilt came to parents many times, and that self projection to them, if something is happening to my kid, and does that mean that I'm doing something wrong? um, so I think that would be my first question, and then I'll open it up to everyone else. What do you think, or how, what are the tools or tips that you would give parents right now, not just in Israel, across the world, who are now dealing with the consequences of being home with their kids for a whole year, and the children and the kids, as we were saying, being isolated from their friends, maybe now after a year are finding it hard to reconnect to friends, and are staying home because they want to, and staying home because it's hard to go back out. Um, so social skills, school wise, of course, but emotionally, and emotionally is the, I think, is the most, is the biggest factor, I believe, that the parents worry about. What would be the tips, the tools that you would give a parent that would ask you?
I think that to answer your question, I would
It's a very
need
big
five
question.
hours. Yeah. But I would begin in making parents all over the world realize that we are their mothership. Okay. That children, and we know that from research that began, in World War I or II, that started to uh, try to make sense of children emotional development in times of crisis. And we know today for sure that children are dependent on our well-being. and children can live for a long periods of time without social engagements and without playground and without school. They cannot live in an hostile environment. They cannot live with parents who are stressful. They cannot live without that basic package of, you know, kids can walk through fire with a trusted adult that projects everything is okay. We are together. No one is going anywhere. And I'm talking just about the nuclear family. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a bit confused. We got confused because we were dealing with all all the stress from outside. We got confused because we lost the tribe, right? We lost the grandparents, we lost the babysitter that the school was for our children. Let's admit it. We lost our free time. We lost, and one day we found ourselves inside our houses, on lockdown, fearing for a lot of things and being anxious about a lot of things. And what we sometimes fail to understand is children, by the way, at all ages, especially young children, because at teenage, we see different behaviors or different needs because they're beginning to turn their back on us and their face to their peers, and they need more social engagements. But still, I can tell you for sure, and I was working through the past year of COVID with families. I can tell you that the children that went through this thing harmless, and I can even say that got a gift or a present from this year of even shutting the outside noise
Mm-hmm.
or concentrating on what we do have instead of what we lost or what we fear of. Children to parents that were able to project calmness and to cherish these moments, and not saying it wasn't hard, but I'm talking, even, you know, when we talk about family atmosphere, it's something that's not tangible. It's, you know, it's things that we can, it's in the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the walls of our house could talk and tell the story of our family in the past year, of what happened between mom and dad, of how many patients they had to us, of how much anxiety was inside the house, how much happiness or joy did we experience. This would be the small things that would make a huge difference on the returning back to routine or practicing back all these skills that maybe, you know, like muscles,
Mm-hmm.
they got tired, but we don't need to be anxious or worried about the outside noise if we're taking care of this unit, if we're being the safe space that they need. And I'm jumping to your first question because we so often let the outside noise distract us, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of us as parents know the difference between the embarrassment that we feel or even how we react to our kids when they're doing something in public as opposed to when we're handling them inside the house.
Right.
So we kind of need to let go of this fantasy, because the fantasy of what kid was I supposed to raise, or what parent was I supposed to be. I swear to God, I won't hear my mother's sentences coming out of my mouth, and here they are. Me and my husband, when we were first pregnant, we used to look at other people, children, and say, ours is not gonna look like this, talk like this, walk like this. What? And here we go. The fantasy crushes. It crushes so much faster than we would even imagine. And I'm not talking about it just because it's funny. I'm talking about it because because every time that we engage in an educational dilemma or a parenting dilemma, when we shut down this outside noise of what it was supposed to be, who was I supposed to be, how I was supposed to remain calm, or you know, I expected myself to know exactly what to do. I expected them to obey or to cooperate. All these things that we all know very well. When we let go of them, we can really focus on, taking accountability or figuring out what's the most important thing. I hope I answered.
Definitely. And I think also one of the things that a lot of times I hear when I discuss with with friends and colleagues who are parents themselves is also how do, as you said, to keep them secured and comfortable and to give them that security, but at the same time thinking to ourselves constantly, especially this year, what are the red flags that I should notice, that I do need to take into consideration, again, especially this year with my kids. What are the red flags? What has changed in their personality and in their
So,
behavior?
first of all, I'm turning the mirror back to us, because when we see kids' behaviors or children's regressions or any of these red flags, and we all know that regressing in small things is expected. We all know that experiencing, a mood or more tantrums is something that we can expect, but we don't want to see a different child. And when we do see behaviors, we often go to, you know asking ourselves, okay, what do we need to fix this behavior? What do I need to say in order to my child not experiencing, I don't know, nightmares or fear before going to sleep? When we are supposed to kind of rewind and ask ourselves, how is this atmosphere? How is this family? How is my anxieties or my behaviors? Because children have this seismograph of, just inhaling the nuances, even listening to us talking on the phone, or figuring out, or imagining, if we were not there to tell them the truth or to talk to them openly about things, they'll they'll complete in their imagination a different world of reality, and it will be worse than the truth that we can share with them. So I guess the red flags will, turn the mirror back to us as to, is this kid experiencing joy?
Mhm.
Are we focused on the fact that every child in our family feels significant, feels like they belong, feels like we cannot do without them? What do we see in them that they have, what forces we can reinforce instead of correcting them, reprimanding them, just going, oh my God, let it be over, because we were all in that position, right?
Yeah.
So it's again, it's back to us. It's back to the caring adult that can just welcome a kid's presence with our present.
Okay. So I'm going to start opening it up for questions, and we already have one. Ruby, do you want to ask it out, or do you want me to read it? What would you like?
I can read it.
Hey, Ruby.
Hi.
Say where you're
I
from,
work in
Ruby.
I work at the Jewish Community Center in Santa Barbara, and we've been offering programs for young families. And we're trying to sort of build community even during COVID. And what we're finding is families are experiencing Zoom fatigue, and they don't see, I mean, they might, respond that they're coming, but they end up not showing up, or they don't turn on their cameras. And I mean, I don't blame them. But do you have any ideas for programs that would engage young families and, kind of offer meaning and help to them? And are you available to speak?
Seriously, first of all, I am available to speak. Okay. I speak like I'm everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere that I'm invited to speak about parents and children's relationship, I'm there. I'm ruining bachelor's parties, but all the rest I'm quite good at. And I kind of I need to be honest about it. I get parents. I get that they're, exhausted and they're sitting all day trying to work on Zoom. And when they're not trying to work on Zoom, they're fighting their kids to connect on Zoom, and it's unbearable. I can tell you from my experience that there is something in a good talk, ones that keep them engaged or letting them ask these questions, just like we're doing now, that can offer sometimes an experience not for just one parent. So I think my lectures are kind of successful nowadays because, and that's the feedback that I'm getting it mostly from women who say, oh my God, I got to sit down with my husband with a glass of wine for an hour and just, unwind, not open the camera necessarily, but, listen to important stuff about our children and our family. So it needs to be interesting as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby.
Anyone else would like to ask a question?
Hi, Einat. I have a question.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So I'm not a parent, thankfully. I'm young, but I have
Take
some
your
cousins.
time. Take your time.
I'm not rushing it. But I have some cousins. Like one of my first cousins just became a parent. Her baby just turned 6 months old the other day. So I guess my question is, what's the best way for me to support new parents in my family? Like in the pandemic, I can't be there in person as much as I probably would be any other year. If a new baby in the family, we're very close cousins, and just like, any advice on what I should do to best support them in that without really being in person most of the time.
I think, okay, let's start by a funny thing first. Send them lots of food. Food is the most comforting, right?
Everyone loves food.
Yeah. Food is love, and food is love from far away. And food, there's something emotional about food that connects us to it's a kind of a greeting card saying I'm here with you, and just eat it and enjoy. And the other thing would be, connecting, just being there, even if it's for, I don't know, receiving photos and admiring and, sending your wows and your applause, because new moms don't have a lot of time to talk. But I think we all need this connection. We've been through a hard time, and you parents need a lot of support. I was talking about losing the tribe. I think that I'm talking about it. It's very interesting. I usually talk about it. I'm talking about it before COVID. I talk about it in relation to modern society. I'm always saying we're a small dot on the evolutionary of evolution of parenting. We lost something. We lost this village which was supposed to raise our child, and now we are all experiencing it. So every family lost their support system, even if it was the grandmother who lived close or the babysitter they could use. So they're kind of depending on emotional support or connection that is, I think that is underappreciated. Just show that you care. Call, ask how they are, and food. Oh my God, send them food.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else would like to ask?
Sure.
Yeah, Eitan.
So first of all, thank you, Einat. I can't wait to read your book.
Oh my God, thank you.
We're very excited to read it. Is it first of all, if it's on Amazon, let us know. Definitely.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Great, amazing. So you spoke
Eitan, say
about.
where you're from.
So I'm from NCSY and I live in New Jersey, originally from Israel, but now I'm NCSY in New Jersey. So you use terms like creating enjoyment and a village and stuff like that. I want to ask, I'm also a parent, but I want to ask a question more from the education field, not from the parental field.
Sure.
We have a big challenge now. We taught our kids to always tell the truth. We taught them never to lie. We taught our kids that we are partners with the school system, the teachers, us. We raise our kids together as a village. That was all before COVID. Now we're teaching them the exact opposite. In our community, we're teaching our kids, don't tell the school where you went on vacation because they'll make us quarantine. Don't tell the nurse if you have a runny nose because they're going to make everybody else quarantine. For Hanukkah, don't say we got together with a family. Lie, 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 and lie, because, and some of the parents are doctors. They're saying the school is wrong. I know, I'm a doctor. And the kids are coming to us and saying, what did we do? And it's a very confusing
I love this
stage.
question. Welcome to the real life, no?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious, because when you begin the question, I was asking myself, have I taught my kids never to lie? Could my kids exist? Do I want them to exist in a world that there aren't no lies? Everyone is telling the truth. Think about their social playground. Think about not insulting grandma for her lousy supper. I'm sorry, that's from my experience. Think about saying thank you to a gift they don't appreciate so much. So in my world, it's not black or white. In my world, I start from a very early age talking, not lecturing, but talking the nuances of truth, or talking our need to get by sometimes, and when it's okay to tell a part of the story, when it's not okay, where. And by the way, I want my children to feel safe enough at home so they will always tell the truth. And by the way, we are not definitely doing the right things in order for them to be truth speakers. Because when I ask my kid, did you brush your teeth? And he says, I did. Okay. And we all know he didn't. And then I go out and I look at the toothbrush and I'm calling him, come over. What's that? No lying in our family. And now I'm creating this public humiliation. The only thing I'm creating is the better lie next time. Okay? Next time he will wet his toothbrush. And that's just at the age of 4. So if we're talking about home environment as, the safest place where they can always get the truth, our truth, and we're modeling the differences between us and other people, thoughts, ideologic, differences, and we're not afraid to talk about it, because there's no right or wrong in our perception. We're raising children that we want or hope to be critical thinkers one day. So I will tell you that if they went to kindergarten for at least a year, they know the art of not telling the truth. Okay? You can see that in an early age. You can see the kid with the chocolate in its mouth and you're asking him, who ate the chocolate? Saying, no, man. No, man. Okay? So they know the difference between the expectations of the world, the expectations to the nuances of mom, dad, the teacher, other children's parents. But basically what I need them to feel is safe and trusted at home. Now we can start talking, like we talk inside the car after eating that dinner at my mother-in-law. Now we can talk our family truth and, say that she meant well, or that usually it's much better, and how much fun we had with them. And I congratulate them for swallowing everything. And we as a family unit are even, we have this desire of mediating the world in a precise and knowing place, from a precise and knowing place, to our children. And I like the wandering parent. I like the thinking parent. I like the parent that doesn't necessarily know everything, or that can say, wow, I'm kind of feeling bad that we didn't tell the truth. But if we had told the truth, we would have been quarantined. Lucky for us that we know that we didn't put anyone at risk. Lucky for us that we know that, it's very important to lay the grounds for empathy, for social accountability or responsibility, for good citizenship. And it's all in the way that we tell the story. So we are the best narrators of the story. I don't think we need to be bothered by truth or false.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more. So if anyone wants to ask, this is the time before we say goodbye to Einat. Anyone else? Monique?
Yes. Hi, I'm Monique. I'm from Venezuela, actually living in Colombia.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to ask you, how would you talk to young children about death and loss after this COVID thing?
So it depends if we're talking to them about death of someone they knew, or if we're talking to them about death in general. Because what we need to understand first is that children have a different perspective of death. Okay? Developmentally, they cannot understand the wide concept of death. Neither can I, by the way. So we sometimes fear about talking death with children, while when we look at children playing, for example, we can see, I killed you. Oh, I'm dead. Okay, I'm alive again. So their perception of death is not supposed to scare us. So when we're talking about how to mediate death in the news, it's a different thing. It's like telling a story. And each parent, and by the way, I recommend highly talking to children about things that we've seen in the news, not necessarily, sitting down with a 5-year-old in front of the news, but yeah, sharing the outside world, because today we're raising children in a different environment than we grew up. When I grew up, they didn't have all this accessible information. Our parents were responsible to any information they let inside the family. Today, your first child can meet my 5th child that is raising up in a home that we talk about everything. She has 4 older siblings. She hears stuff. You don't want your first born to hear from Shira, my daughter, how children come to this world, because she has a very good explanation. So it's the same with, hardship, war, death, all these things that we fear so much, or we feel the need to protect them from. When I say it's better to tell them it's better for us to be the narrators of the story. And here we need to, there are parents that go for a walk with their child and they see a dead cat and they're saying, shh, it's asleep, right? And there are parents that can go by a dead cat and say, wow, it's so sad. Please, let's go fast. I'm just thinking that maybe she didn't say goodbye to her pups, or maybe she was hit by a car. What do you think? But I'm not experiencing, anxiety or tears. I'm just being a narrator for their curiosity. So, am I understood? So,
Yeah.
so that's the way to talk death with children. It's very important to keep it distant. Like when we talk about things that happen, it happened far. It happened because he was very old. It happened because it was a sickness that only old people get, or people that their immune system is very, and we are being careful. We are together. We are, and if you have any questions, and by the way, kids come back with questions if we did it right. It doesn't happen at the same moment, but they do come back with really smart and interesting and funny questions about death. So that's about it.
Thank you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. What I want to say, and to conclude this part before we have a few more minutes to just discuss between us, to tell Einat that there are several organizations and our partners that were not able to join today due to time zones. You know, we have some in Australia, and of course this is being recorded and we will share with them, and I'm sure some will also have questions. So if it's okay with you, Einat, I would love to share your email so that anyone
I'll be
here,
honored.
Great, thank
You've
you. So
had me
anyone
to
here,
go, Maya.
so anyone here who would want to afterwards be in touch with you and ask you questions or invite you to lecture in their community, they could do so.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. And I want to finish off by saying that one of the people that highly recommended Einat is someone that we all know, Gal Gadot, who has said amazing things about the book. So I think we can all honor the superwoman Gal Gadot, who admires the book as well.
I owe her big time. She doesn't know me personally, by the way. She just read the book.
Amazing. So thank